Good morning. Good morning. Hey, Miss Crystal Ann. Hey, Watcher. Hey, American Honey. Oh, you're very welcome, Miss Crystal Ann. Anytime you need some information, just let me know and I'll try to help you find all the information I can. You know what I'm saying? That's just what I be doing. How y'all doing on this Wellness Wednesday? I hope you're all having a great day so far. Hope you got your coffee, because I got mine. Mm, got some good stuff. Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. Um, on this Wellness Wednesday, I was debating on whether doing another mental health topic or like associating it with something that has to do with mental health. Because obviously mental health is very important. But if there's any conditions that you would like to know more about, and let's say you know somebody or you yourself have to deal with it and want the public educated, you can always put it in the chat and I will go over the specific disorder, um, and we can learn more about it together. And we can, reach one, teach one type situation. Just like with a lot of us who are team neurodivergent, right? Team ADHD, OCD, so on and so forth. Because our brains work differently, we can jump from topic to topic to topic real easy. Um, Brain deadness. There are some people with brain they don't have a brain. They're kind of like the Scarecrow off of Wizard of Oz. If I only had a brain. And then the other one that said, if he only had a heart like the Tin Man. Yeah, they don't have a heart or a brain. I don't know how they surviving, but they ain't got one. They don't have a heart nor a brain, damn it. I know me, myself, and I was actually over there at Miss Bambi's this morning, and she was doing a thing on, she does Wellness Wednesday, and she was breaking down, like, Tony Soprano and how, like, some of his mental conditions and whatnot. Well, Miss Watcher, I hope you rescheduled that show also. And whatever's going on, babes, I'm keeping you in my prayers. As always, that's something I do. I keep my peoples in my prayers. Yes, I do. But I actually knew a girl who was really good with the tarot cards. Like, I met this girl. She didn't know nothing about me. When I say nothing, I ain't told her jack nothing, right? And she just started playing around and she was really good. She was super talented, really good at what she did. But no, I was looking up the Tony Soprano stuff, and I found this thing that said, I was asking, I googled like who do they think took over the crime family after Tony supposedly passed away, because the ending of The Sopranos left it open, even though rest in peace um to the main actor who played Tony Soprano, he's no longer with us. Um, what is his name? The one that actually James James Gandolfini. Yeah, he passed away. And so even if they didn't um even if they didn't, supposedly make Tony pass away, because he's actually passed away, they obviously um they couldn't redo the show anyway. You know what I'm saying? Which kind of sucks because I did really love that show when I watched it. I really did love The Sopranos and thought it was an amazing show. Um, it's just like Sons of Anarchy. I know, right? I need to do therapy Thursdays. That's what I need to change Thursdays into. Therapy Thursdays, just be doing therapy for people. Which technically you can. You just have to make sure that, because my therapist told me I should become a life coach or a therapist myself. You just have to make sure the person knows that you're not, you don't have the certification, if that makes sense. A lot of people don't know that the BetterHelp call line, some of those people don't actually have certification. They have like they have so much experience as being a life coach and all these other things. And like that's their experience is dealing with mental health for so many years. But technically a lot of them are not actually certified to be actual therapists. Which anybody can teach therapy. You just have to make sure a person knows that you're not certified. You know what I'm saying? Because therapy is something that is awesome and it's good for you. So I might do that, Watcher. You never know. Shoot, I might be helping folks with therapy. You never know about me. You know, I love helping people and doing things like that. It's my life goal to help others when they have something going on. Especially with all the shit we got to deal with when we got crazy folks on the internet. You know what I'm saying? We got people who lost their damn feebles. I love the fact that there were so many good lies about me made up. I totally didn't know that I had dated like all these dudes that I never knew about. I dated like these 4 or 5 dudes and all this other shit, and supposedly stole a dog when I wasn't even living in that area. So I'm like, I don't know how that's possible, but hey, I did a lot of things I didn't even know I did, dog. I found out a bunch of new information about my own self. It was like Miss Bambi was talking about, she found out new information about herself. You learn so much about yourself from other people. I swear to God. How many lies? You know what I'm saying? Then you know what I'm saying? You went hood on them. Did you get hood, girl? Get them. Whoop that trick, homie. Whoop that trick. Okay, I'm sorry. Scream at the bitch if it got to. Scratch your eyes out. Snatch them edges. Snatch that hoe's edges. Snatch that whole bald headed. Well, you can't snatch some hoes bald headed. They already bald headed. You know what I'm saying? That's somewhere between Jesus and Tupac and Crystal Ann. Good morning, love. Good morning. Sometimes you gotta snatch a bitch's edges out. Just gotta do what you gotta do. Sometimes you gotta snatch a whole bald headed. But some bitches is already bald headed. You know what I'm saying? And they scallywags and they ain't got no hair in back, weaved up, jacked up. They stuff is messed up. Well, you've been doing so good with your exercises. I ain't even gonna say I'm gonna do it. Y'all know I love cake more than I love exercise. I'm just saying. I love my fluffy self. What you talking about? People be talking about I'm fat and all this. Hello, if you saw me in real life, you'd fall out. I'm not that big. Especially the way my weight distributes in my body. It's so funny when people see me on the internet versus seeing me in real life. They're like, "Where's the rest of her?" I'm like, see what had happened was in retrospect, for some reason, the camera makes me look fat as shit because I have big chubby cheek syndrome. Yeah, you know from experience, don't you, babe? He thought I was much bigger than he saw me in real life. He's like, where the hell's the rest of you? I could put my hands around you. Like, you're not that big. I tell that to people all the time and they don't believe me until they see me in real life. And they're like, damn, you ain't even that big. What the hell? But no, I was sitting there looking at the Sopranos show this morning, and believe it or not, if you look up the real story, it says in real life, this is exactly what happened to the family the Sopranos are based on. At the end of the 1990s, the De Calente family started to implode after dozens of its members either flipped or ended up in prison. Informants essentially destroyed the organization from the inside out. this weekend, the New Jersey Mafia, so much that the 5 families from New York were able to take over a number of rackets in the area. Nowadays, the Gambino family from New York oversees, quote unquote, the New Jersey Mafia. Interestingly enough, the Lupertazzi family in The Sopranos is loosely based on the Gambinos. So, like, of course, they did loosely base things on things. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously they ain't gonna put the real life stuff in there all the time. I know, right, Watcher? I've been fat and I've been less fat, and I might be able to change the fact that I'm fat, but some folks can't change their faces, right? I might be able to change the fact that I'm a little overweight, but you can't change the fact that you ain't you bald head scallywag. You can't change the fact that you ugly as shit. You know, I can change my fatness, but can you change your ugly? No, I don't think it works that way. Yeah, I hate y'all men. Oh no, no, I'm gonna say this right now. How many men? Hey, Michelle. How how many folks do y'all know in men that could just sit there and cut out sugar and they lose like 100 pounds? Yeah, us women, we could do the same thing and we lose 10 pounds, maybe gain 5 pounds. We smell the sugar and see what had happened. See what had happened was in retrospect, we gained about 15 pounds. Good morning, racing stars, love. I'm just like, this is bullshit. Hell, both of them ugly as shit. At least I can change my fatness. Can you change your ugliness? Hell to the no. And at least I can go to bed at night knowing I have a clear conscience. I have a clear conscience. Yep. I can go to bed at night and sleep like a baby because I know I'm a good person. I don't have to do that evil shit to people. But on this Wellness Wednesday, I wanted to know if y'all wanted to talk about mental health awareness. Because here's the thing, mental health awareness is a huge thing, and we all and Watcher, it is a good idea. I actually might do therapy sit down sessions on Thursday mornings for people who want to pop up and hit the link and talk about therapy things. Um, oh my God, Miss Crystal Ann, your life was fulfilled. Hey, CFM Queen, my beauty. But that might be a good thing. Therapy Thursdays. I might do that with my true crime too, because there is some things on true crime that we need to catch up on. I don't know if y'all know, but the Mendez brothers are going for resentencing. And it starts they're doing it the 17th and the 18th to decide if the charges should be changed or stay the same. So the resentencing hearing is going to be coming up on whether or not it remains the same or what happens to them or whatnot. That is true, Miss Crystal. That is true. There's a lot of I'll see you in a minute when you walk through, Bay. Uh, there's a lot of people who have like a lot of things going on in their real life that might need like advice or opinions. There's some people that might have something going on and it might help them. You never know. So I might do therapy Thursdays, and if people don't want to pop up on Thursdays, I could switch it around to do true crime. You know what I'm saying? So it is that's why I like having multiple um things to talk about, because maybe somebody don't want to come up and share, maybe they feel a little scared or whatnot. Oh, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, Miss Shelley, happy birthday to you. Also, send a shout out, happy birthday to twin mama. I did not know. Well, I think I think I did make a note of her birthday and then didn't see her, so I didn't get to tell her until yesterday. So happy birthday to twin mama also, and anybody else in the clouds or in the bushes that may have a birthday today. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Um and to anyone that may have a birthday coming up. You know. Oh, your grandson? Oh, well, happy birthday to him. Okay. To him then. We're going to say to him. To Miss Shelley's grandson. Happy birthday to you. See, I changed it. I changed it. Um, but when it comes to um mental health, we have anxiety disorders, mood disorders, we have schizophrenia, OCD, eating disorders, stress related dissociative disorders, neurodevelopmental, personality disorders, sexual dysfunction, sleep disorders, neurocognitive, childhood, and other. Like it encompasses a lot of information, right? And a lot of us deal with anxiety, depression. It's a normal part of life, and there's a reason why, because traumas that happen to you, right? And things that happen in life are the reason why we wind up with these problems. Good morning, Miss Heidi. I hope you're having a good morning this morning. So today with mental health, Wellness Wednesdays, not only can we talk about mental health awareness, but let's say there's a disease that you may not understand what it is, right? If you don't know what cerebral palsy is, if you don't know what MS is, so on and so forth. If you bring it up in chat, we'll go over the specific disorder. What was it, last week or week before last? We talked about, I think it was last week, what Miss Gangsta Sauce is going through, right? And because of, oh, thank you, Miss Crystal. And I hope that it helps. Please let me know if it helps at all. Where we were talking about the effects of yesterday, we were talking about the effects of pure coconut oil and MCT on people with Alzheimer's and dementia and how it can help. So let me know if it's working or whatnot. I haven't did my order yet, Michelle. I'm going to, though. I'm probably going to go to my local Walmart or CVS or something and see what they have over the counter and whatnot, just to see. But yes, agoraphobia. That Miss she just threw that out. Let's go with what agoraphobia is. Because a lot of people actually have agoraphobia, right? Um, it's actually a thing that a lot of people deal with. There's a lot of disorders that people deal with on a daily basis, and understanding their condition can help us understand them and what they go through. The main symptoms of agoraphobia is an intense fear of being in a public or crowded places. Though this is a challenging condition, there are many ways to manage and overcome your fears. Agoraphobia is an anxiety condition in which you experience intense fear, worry, or panic in public places. In these situations, you may have vague feelings that something dreadful might happen. This anxiety rises because you feel that the situation will be difficult to escape, or that you might not be able to get help if you have a panic attack or experience panic like symptoms. Agoraphobia affects many people. The National Institute of Mental Health reports that around 1.3% of U.S. adults experience agoraphobia in their lifetimes. In this article, we take a closer look at the symptoms of agoraphobia, and we discuss when is a good time to talk to your doctor. According to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the DS5, as they say, DSM-5, agoraphobia involves intense fear and anxiety that occurs in or when anticipating at least two of the following 5 situations: using public transportation such as cars, buses, trains, ships, or planes; being in open spaces such as parking lots, marketplaces, or bridges; being in enclosed spaces such as shops, theaters, or cinemas; standing in line or being in a crowd; being outside the home alone. You might receive an agoraphobia diagnosis if your symptoms persist for more than 6 months and occur nearly every time you encounter the place or situation. Agoraphobia is most often diagnosed in young adulthood and usually before the age of 35. By definition, the fears linked with agoraphobia are irrational. This means the anxiety is out of proportion with the actual danger posed by the situation. Most of the time, people with agoraphobia are aware their fears are irrational, but they still can't stop believing them. For instance, there is a little potential for danger while waiting in a line at a bank, and millions of people do it every day without incident. However, many people with agoraphobia may still dreadful at the thought of being in that situation. As well, with all anxiety disorders, the symptoms of agoraphobia can be physical, mental, and behavioral. Physical and mental symptoms. If you have agoraphobia, you'll notice a strong stress response in your body when exposed to the feared situation. This is part of your body's flight, fight, or freeze response, a natural system that helps protect you from threats. Agoraphobia involves experiencing strong anxiety or panic like responses when you are in certain public or crowded places. The physical and mental symptoms of agoraphobia can include a racing heart, shortness of breath, sweating, muscle tension, shaking, dizziness, feeling nauseous, muscle weakness, feeling hot or cold, fear of losing control, feeling of doom or dread, a general sense of unease, feeling detached from your body known as disassociation. Many people with panic disorders have agoraphobia, though DSM 5 considers them two separate conditions. Panic disorder involves a fear of having a panic attack, and the anticipation of an attack causes intense anxiety. If you have a panic attack in a public once, your brain might associate those intense negative emotions with whatever situation you were in when they occurred. This can mean that you can feel anxious again when in a similar situation, which can even cause another panic attack. Many people may begin to avoid situations that might provoke the uncomfortable and distressing symptoms of anxiety or panic attacks. These fears can build over time and lead to a general fear of open spaces or agoraphobia. Behavioral symptoms. Avoidance is a major symptom of agoraphobia. You might find yourself spending a lot of time or energy avoiding situations that might trigger your anxiety. Otherwise, you might endure the situation with serious discomfort. You might ask a partner or friend to help you confront the feared situation, such as asking them to come with you to the grocery store or post office. It is common for people with agoraphobia to feel unable to leave the house due to their intense anxieties over what might happen if they do. Anxieties linked to these situations can lead to big changes in your behavior, daily routines, and your ability to show up in the world. Feeling restricted or out of control of your daily life, known as having lack of anonymity, can have a negative impact on your mental health and well being. These feelings can cause significant distress and impairment in your life, making it difficult or sometimes impossible to hold down a job, attend school or social engagements, or maintain friendships or relationships. Agoraphobia affects each person in different ways. These symptoms can range from serious to mild depending on how much it affects the person's life. According to the survey data published in 2005, agoraphobia can have mild to severe impacts on a person's life. The NIMH states 40.6% of people say agoraphobia has a serious impact on their life. 30.7% reported a moderate impact, while 28.7% reported a mild impact. When to talk to your doctor. Talking with your doctor or mental health professional, such as a psychologist or psychiatrist, about your anxiety may feel daunting, but it can really help. You can do this in a way that feels best to you. Many doctors will offer telephone consultations, online services, direct you to helpful resources, and provide treatment advice. Some symptoms of anxiety and panic overlap with the symptoms of other medical conditions. Your doctor can help rule out other causes. They also can rule out other anxiety disorders that can have similar symptoms, such as social phobia, which is an anxiety around social or performance situations, specific phobia, anxiety and avoidance of specific objects or situations such as spiders or heights, obsessive compulsive disorder, a condition that involves recurring thoughts or behaviors, post traumatic stress disorder, a condition that can arise months or years after exposure to trauma, Separation anxiety disorder, anxiety related to separation from people close to you. As well as with all mental health conditions, the symptoms of agoraphobia cannot be explained by the direct bodily effects of substance use, including alcohol, drugs, or medication. Treatments. Agoraphobia is a treatable condition. Psychotherapy or talk therapy is essentially effective in treating agoraphobia. Cognitive behavioral therapy is a common method for anxiety disorders. In cognitive behavioral therapy for agoraphobia, the therapist will work with you to develop a list of stressful situations that trigger your symptoms, starting from the least scary to those that are more triggering. You will learn skills to work through these situations, and eventually, the scariest scenario will feel less significantly less threatening. For some people, certain medications can also help. These include antidepressants and benzodiazepines. I've always messed up that word. Um, People can also take steps to reduce their daily anxiety levels and to cope with anxiety symptoms, such as when they arise. Deep breathing exercises and other relaxation methods can calm the body's stress response in that moment. Bear in mind that learning to breathe deeply to reduce anxiety takes regular practice. If used only when you're feeling panic, these strategies may not work very well. Psychologists recommend practicing these breathing techniques daily for about 5 to 10 minutes so that when you're feeling more anxious, your body will know what to do. Practicing stress reduction techniques regularly can help you feel more in control of the anxiety when it arises, which can make the symptoms of agoraphobia easier to manage. And these are like different places where you can do talk therapy and whatnot. I will. Hey, Miss Deb. Good morning, Miss Deb. Hey, Sleepy Rob. How are you doing? Um, Huggies to your mom, Miss Crystal Ann. Please let us know how she's doing. Um, Panic attacks. Hey, hotspot love. Panic attacks are some of the you know, worst things I will say. I didn't know. I'm gonna tell y'all a little story. When I was with my ex, the father of my child, um, he was an alcoholic, right? So because of that, he would start fights and you know would want to go drink, and he would try to come up with excuses to be able to go do it because he was an alcoholic, right? And there was one night that I had a panic attack so bad, I thought I had had a stroke. I didn't know what panic attacks were because I'd never had one in my life, right? And I had never had something that crazy happen to me. And from that, what happened with him, I have PTSD, right? So if I get in a room full of people with two drunks and they start fighting, you'll start seeing me visibly shake. You know, my body will show all the responses of you know, my anxiety rising and panic and all this other stuff. There's a few things that trigger it, and I know my triggers because of that. Yeah, I didn't Scottish Devil, I didn't know what a panic attack was until I had that severe one. I'd never had one in my life. I didn't know what anxiety like I didn't know to put a name on it, right? I didn't know what it was. And I couldn't see. My hands were drawn up to my sides. Like I had double vision. I had one of the. We even got to the point that we actually had to call 911, and the people in the ambulance told my parents and said, "This is a severe panic attack, like one of the worst I've seen." And you know what she needs to do right now, and her oxygen levels. He, you know, was worried about my oxygen levels because what a lot of people don't know when you have a panic attack, what happens is you breathe so fast that you're actually breathing in your own carbon monoxide from your own voice, your own like breath. And so what happens is you absolutely are messing with your own oxygen. You're breathing in the carbon dioxide instead of the oxygen. So therefore, that's what causes all the symptoms. A lot of people don't know that. That's why they tell you to do the breath control and to concentrate on your breathing, because that's basically what causes the lightheadedness. That's what causes the the symptoms of what it is because you've literally given yourself carbon monoxide poisoning in a way. And that's basically, yes, the you basically CO2 yourself. That's right. CFM Queen, you basically CO2 yourself. And you have too much carbon. And that's what ends up happening because a lot of people don't know. Um, when we breathe in, we breathe in oxygen. When we breathe out carbon, right? And believe it or not, trees, and this is, I know some people know this, some people may not. Trees breathe in carbon and breathe out oxygen. So that's why we need trees in our lives, and trees need us. We're giving them the carbon that they need, and they're and plants and stuff, and they're giving us the oxygen. It's like what the human body does is polar opposite for what the trees do, right? Trees and plants. Another reason your head starts something else up is because of lack of oxygen and the carbon has overtaken, and you are technically raising your heart rate through the roof. Technically, you can, if you already have a heart condition or don't know you have a heart condition, believe it or not, a panic attack could set you into a heart attack because it raises up your your pulse rate and things like that, and it raises your heart rate, right? And if you already have a problem with your heart and it gets to beating too fast, think about what happens, right? But it does feel like a stroke. It feels like you've had a stroke when you have the most severe panic attack that you can ever have in your life. It you would think that you are having a heart attack or you have had a stroke because its symptoms do mirror some of it. But the difference is when they go to check your blood pressure, it's not what it should be to have a stroke or a, you know, that's how they can tell the difference. And there's a few little odds and ends that make it different, right? You don't have the necessarily the chest pain that comes and shortness of breath. Well, you do have the shortness of breath, but um, there's certain things that are a little different between a heart attack and a panic attack, right? But if you've never had a panic attack a day in your life and you don't know what they are, you might think that that's what's happening to you. You might feel that's what's happening to you at that moment because panic attacks are a bitch. I will say, Michelle, the best technique to help with anxiety, if you know it's a like if you know your triggers, right, and you know it's going to throw you into a panic attack, try to avoid those triggers. Now, if there's no avoidance of them, then try to, like with agoraphobia, you have to learn to deal with those triggers. You have to learn to be okay with them. Like with mine being around alcohol, I can avoid being around people who are drinking. But let's say I'm in a situation and I can't. Hey, pretty chocolate girl, my love, my beautiful rose. Let's say I can't stay away from that. It's a family function and there's stuff going to be there and I have to be around it, right? I have to be able to smell the alcohol because I'm going to tell y'all something. Used to be in the past that just the smell of alcohol would throw me into a panic attack or make my anxiety rise. Just the smell of it. That's how bad it was from the PTSD, right? It would throw me into one of those moments, just the smell of it. Just being around it in general. So there's some things you can't avoid, and you have to learn how to get past those, those problems, right? So I had to learn to be okay to be around people who are drinking because of an abusive ex, right? So I had to learn those things, and I had to face my fears, if that makes sense, and make my fears not as um, terrible. Like I had to realize that not all people are like him, and not all things when people are raising voices are they fighting, right? Like sometimes people are jovial when they're raising voices. But at one time, even jovial people, while drinking, raising voices, set off my PTSD and set off my anxiety, right? So I had to learn that, to be able to deal with that and to be able to be around that, because you can't always avoid that. You can try your best, but there's going to be times when that's going to be around you, right? So I had to learn how to deal with that and be okay with that. Because I had to realize that not every person's like him, and that comes from trauma, right? I had to know that not everything's going to turn out like that did, right? And I had to face that and realize that it's not always going to happen when you're around things like that. I had to learn that, alcohol wasn't the problem. Even though it was part of the problem, it wasn't the main thing, right? I had to learn that, I could be okay being around that. It's just like, let's say you have a fear of public places. Well, you can't always stay home all the time. There's going to be times that you have to go out and, you know, be in those spaces, and so you have to be able to deal with that situation. Yeah, I'm going to say this, for some people, smells can remind you of certain situations and can be depressing or extremely happy. Like we were talking about the smell of mothballs the other day, right? For some people, that could be a comfort smell because it smelled like your grandma. Or if you smell a certain perfume, um, and some people smelling for some people, smelling like funeral flowers takes you back to a time in your life when you lost someone very close to you and dear to you, and it can put you into depression. Smells actually have a very big part of our life. Like the smell of certain home cooked meals can either make you cry or smile or do both at the same time. Like if there was a specific food that your mom made, right? And you smell and it smells just like what your mom made, it can make you smile and cry at the same time. Yes, Miss Deb, I will say drinking for a lot of people does turn them into monsters. My ex was an amazing person when he wasn't drinking, but when he was, um, it was awful. You know, he wasn't the same person when he was drinking. It seemed like he was a whole different person. It was like when he was sober, he was one person. When he was drinking, he was another. It felt like there was two people within him. You know what I'm saying? And yes, that's true, CFM Queen. People with trauma have a hard time with this because, unlike others, where they worry about the worst thing that could happen, but trauma survivors have been through the worst already. Hey, my beautiful twisted huggies. Um, but yes, so um, it's like certain smells can trigger things, certain like being around certain things can trigger it. Know your triggers. Like if you know you have depression, anxiety, OCD, um agoraphobia, all those different things, right? Know your triggers, because if you know your triggers, there are some things that you can avoid. There's some things you're not going to be able to avoid, and you're going to have to learn how to, get over. And the one of the best things is going to see a trauma specialist. Don't just look for a regular therapist. Look for a trauma specialist, especially if it's like PTSD from an alcoholic ex or an abusive situation, because they're going to teach you how to deal with the trauma, right? And trauma is a little bit different. There are specialists within the psychiatric care for specific disorders and different things. Like, so if you have, let's say you have OCD, you can find a specific therapist that specifically knows a lot about OCD. They themselves may even actually absolutely have it or have a family member who had it. So they have really good firsthand knowledge of it. When you have trauma, um, sometimes you do need to see a trauma specialist because they know they're more involved in the trauma aspect. So therefore they have more knowledge of trauma itself and how to help you overcome trauma. Because I will say this, all of us have some kind of trauma within our lives, whether it be from childhood, abusive ex, whether it has to do with, something that recently happened to you. There almost all of us can pinpoint and name a trauma, at least one that we've had in our life. You know, and those traumas, um, we have to learn how to deal with them. We have to learn to move forward with them. We have to learn how to not put that trauma on someone else. Trauma dumping is a thing, and let's say you had an abusive ex. Well, now you can't assume that every relationship you're going to be in is like that, or assume that every person is going to be like that person. So you don't want to bring that trauma into your new relationship, right? You want to be able to be healed as much as you possibly can from that trauma. So you don't dump the, like, let's say you had a cheating ex. Well, obviously, if you did, you're going to be very, of the next person you get with, when they go out in public or they have a friend of the same sex or opposite sex, you don't want to automatically assume that person is cheating and start, accusing them or doing all these things because of the trauma from your past relationship. Um, I will say this, Miss Deb, don't regret it, and I'm gonna explain to you why. I'm gonna explain to you why not to regret it. Because if you hadn't have went through those things, would you be the same person today that you would have been 5 years ago? No. Let me explain to you why. It made you either stronger, a better person, and it taught you something. Like you might have been naive to a situation before that happened. And now you know what to look for and not to deal with again. Anything good, bad, or indifferent that happens in your life shapes you into the person that you are. I regret nothing, and I'm going to explain to you why. I wouldn't be the person I am today if I took back those issues. You know what I'm saying? But see, if you hadn't went through that situation, would you be as strong as you are today? And would you also know that if, being naive probably before you got in that situation, now you know what to look for, the red flags, you know what a good person is and a bad person is in that experience because now you know better, right? If you hadn't had that experience, you wouldn't have learned from that experience. And it not good. Nobody should ever have to go through things like that. No, I wish no one had to deal with things like that, right? But we have to look at it as, you know what I'm saying? It taught us things, right? It, like Miss Shelley said, it teaches us empathy. It teaches us what red flags are. It teaches us, like my alcoholic ex. If I got with another person that was like him, I would see the red flags now right away. But yet, when I first got with him, I was so naive to the situation. I had never been in it that I didn't see those red flags and I looked over them. I didn't know what an alcoholic truly was. I didn't know that an alcoholic can't even take one sip, they fall back off the wagon. I didn't know some of the things that I learned along the way. So don't regret it for that simple fact because it made you who you are today. It changed you for the better. And even if it taught you some things that you may, you don't deserve it and you didn't deserve it, but you also have to forgive yourself because here's the thing, a lot of us who have been through those type of situations, we blame ourselves. We go, why didn't I see this? Why did I put up with that? Why did I do this? Why didn't I just get out beforehand? Why did I stay so long? And we start doing the blame game. It is not your fault. Point blank, period. Stop blaming yourself. Make sure that you know that here's the thing. Could you have kept your hands to yourself? Yes. But did it teach you something? Yes. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we regret these situations because we knew we could have did better, right? And we're hard on ourselves. But that happened for a reason. There's always a reason. There's a season for things. Like even friendships, right? Sometimes people come into your life to be in your life for a lifetime. Some people come into your life to be there for only a moment. But each one of those things that happen to us, they they help us grow as being better than what we were yesterday. You know what I'm saying? And now you know not to ever get in that situation again, right? Hey, Ham. Also, I know a lot of people who have trauma who um, want to put the blame on themselves when not all the time. Now, you can take responsibility for your actions. Like if you know you had a part in something, you can take that responsibility for that, right? But in some instances, it is not your fault. And a lot of people who have been through trauma start apologizing for things they shouldn't apologize for. They are made to feel like they're always the bad guy when that's not always the case, right? You shouldn't have to apologize for falling asleep. You shouldn't have to apologize when you didn't do anything wrong. I've seen that be a thing with trauma survivors that they're extremely apologetic about every single thing, right? They apologize for sneezing or moving the wrong way or flinching or setting a certain way because their abuser, right? The person who abused them made them always feel like it was all their fault when that's not the case because their abuser did not want to take responsibility for their own actions. Now, could you have possibly kept your hands to yourself? Yes. But were you in defense mode? Did you have to defend yourself? Because here's the thing, no, you shouldn't just lay there and take it. Hey, Miss Jean. Yeah, so like let's say I had did something to somebody that I really love. Then I need to stand in my ish and I need to apologize. And whether that person accepts that apology or not is up to them. Sometimes we also have to realize not everybody's going to accept your apology when you do apologize if you've done something wrong. And that's okay. You have to be okay with that. Some people are not going to accept it. Um, yeah, I will say this. With situations like that, Miss Deb, it's because our parents think that we should do better and they know we can do, and sometimes they get disappointed in the situation and want us to be you know a better person, and they know it, and it really upsets them. That's also true, CFM Queen, and sometimes you have to accept apologies you will never get and move on in peace. Sometimes you got to realize that certain people are never going to stand in their ish. They're never going to apologize for the things that they do. They're never going to take accountability. And you also have to be okay with that. You know, there are some people who can't look in the mirror and say, hey, what I did was wrong. And they'll never apologize. And you have to be okay with that. And realize what type of person you're dealing with. And the best thing that you can do for if like the hardest part of this situation is I would say some people don't have a choice in the matter because they're family. Hold on just a minute, y'all. But sometimes with situations like that, um, we can't get away from the person because they are a family member, but we have to understand who they are and realize that, like, if you have a narcissistic person in your life, that's let's say your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, someone that is harder to cut out of your life. And sometimes you have to cut them out, right? For your own mental health. But let's say you're in a situation where, you know, you can't necessarily or don't want to cut them out of your life because you do love them. You also have to understand their condition and what's going on with it, and understand that they're never going to, some of them, if you know it, are never going to change. And take everything they say and do with a grain of salt, if that makes sense. To protect your own mental health, sometimes with those people, you have to take everything they say and do with a grain of salt. And it's like, yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And that is true, Scottish Deb. In life, we live and we learn. And it makes us better people. We learn how to deal, we learn how to cope, with situations. That is true. If your partner has been good to you, you know what I'm saying? And everything. See, here's the thing. Usually people do. Good morning, Tainted Docket. Usually, after, people see how good your partner is to you for so many years, they eventually do accept the person. But it does take time sometimes if they think they're not good enough for you and all these other things. And sometimes you just have to be okay with, hey, if you don't like them, I don't care. They love me. They're good to me. That's my person. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to be okay with that because this is my life. You also can't live your life a lot of times for others to a certain degree. Like a lot of people try to get the exception of others. And let's say you have an abusive parent. Let's say you have a bad person in your life. You will never get that acceptance. You will never get that good job. You will never get that hug and I love you. And you have to understand that is that person. And either A, you have three choices in most situations, right? Um, One, keep the situation the same. It never changes. Two, try to go to therapy with said person. Or three, leave the situation. This goes with relationships, friendships, family members. Sometimes you have to leave that person alone. Sometimes you have to cut them out of your life because it's the best thing in the world for you, you know? And that is very true, American Honey. Set boundaries. Set your boundaries. And if they cannot respect your boundaries, make sure they know that they're going to lose being around you if they cannot respect your boundaries. Be very definite, very clear with those. That's what I'm saying, American Honey. It's like if you understand their behaviors and where they're coming from and what they are, don't let it, take it with a grain of salt means don't let it affect you personally, right? Don't let it affect your mental health. Um, you have to set those strong boundaries and tell them, hey, I'm not dealing with this. If you want to remain in my life, these are the boundaries. Either you're going to follow them or you're not going to be. Give them that ultimatum. Sometimes you have to do that when it's a situation of that caliber because you have to protect your own mental health. You are your best advocate. You're the person that's going to make sure you're happy. That is true. That is true, honey. hmm So I have family members I don't see that often because of that simple fact. And I had to cut my own sister out of my life. Just cut her completely out. And I'm gonna explain to you why. Because it was weighing on all of our mental health. It was bringing us all down. And because she does not choose to respect boundaries and take responsibility for her actions, then you have to do sometimes what is best. You have to do what is best for you, what is best for your family and those around you. And sometimes that is the best bet. And it hurts. Sometimes it hurts. You know what I'm saying? It hurts to have to do those things because you really do care about the person. It's just that what they're doing is not okay. And you have to be okay cutting them off sometimes. And that absolutely hurts because you worry about them. That's so good. I'm so proud of you, American Honey, for standing your ground and putting your foot down, because I know that as a child from your parent was probably one of the hardest things that you've ever had to do in your life. Because you love us children are taught from the very time we're little, it's ingrained in us. It's more of a, it's not even necessarily a teaching, it's more of it's ingrained in your heart. You want the the love from your parent, you want all the good, that you're doing a good job. Like, we strive for our parents' love and attention, right? As children. So when you have a narcissistic parent and you have to put your foot down, I know that is one of the hardest things to have to do. Because what we were kind of, it's kind of, because they're your parents, you think you have to put up with it. You do not, right? Yeah, see, and also because you grew up with it, you kind of think it's normal until someone points it out to you that it's not normal. You think that for a very long time, because you grew up with it, that that's the norm and that's the way it is. And then you realize it's not. And that's when you realize something's really going on. And you have to figure out what's going on with that person, um, and set your boundaries. And you did an amazing job, American Honey. You did an amazing job. You took your control back. Yes, you have to maintain the peace in your life, because here's the thing, no matter who it is, you got to think you only get this. Well, if you believe or don't believe in reincarnation, whatever. I'm talking about this life here. You only get one life, right? And if you continue to allow others to bring you down, hurt you, make your life hell, right? Um, and you have to take your power, put your damn foot down, and tell them how it's going to be, right? Because the only person that can make you happy is yourself. Even when you go through therapy, right? And let's say it's you're having a lot of issues, right? Um, I can try to tell you all day long how beautiful you are. I can tell you all day long how much I love you. I can do all this for you, but that's not going to work unless you're willing to work on yourself. A lot of people do not understand that you have to put in that work to be better, to feel better. Um, you can't rely on other people for your happiness, because that's a short term problem, and it's only going to put a band aid on it for a little while. It's not going to fix or help the situation. Just like if you have a mental health condition, someone else can try to, even a therapist can try to help you with the situation. But if you're not ready for help, if you're not ready to put in the work to do it, it's not going to change. You have to be the one to take your power back and change those situations. A lot of therapy is changing your mindset, right? Your mindset of I'm not enough to I am enough, or I'm this, I'm that. Your brain will tell you all kinds of negative things about you, right? But you have to change that mindset to where you are enough, you are awesome, you are this, and you have to take back that power. And from those who abused you, you have to take back that power. If let's say you were SA'd as a child, you have to realize that it was not your fault. It was the person in your life's fault. And don't take, that's one thing you should not take responsibility for. You did nothing wrong, right? You did nothing wrong if you were SA'd, no matter if you're male or female. You did nothing wrong. That was the other person's choice to do that to you. But you also have to forgive yourself for blaming yourself. A lot of SA victims blame themselves. Well, if I hadn't have went here, if I hadn't have wore that, if I hadn't have did this, if I had abuse victims in abusive relationships, if I hadn't have raised my voice, he wouldn't have hit me, or she wouldn't have hit me. If I hadn't have did this, no, you are not to blame for those situations. You did nothing wrong. No one should ever, ever put their hands on the other, right? If I had just sat down, maybe this wouldn't have happened. If I had, if I had gave him the drink he wanted, this wouldn't have happened. No, they chose to do that. That is very true. CFM Queen, do you know what gave me the strength to leave my ex? Because, see, I didn't want my son coming from a broken home. So I tried to hold on to that relationship for as long as possible, knowing I should have let it go way beforehand, right? I was with him for 3 years. I should have let that go way before then. Um, because I didn't want my child coming from a broken home. I kept trying to make it work no matter how bad it got. And it could have been longer, but I did get the strength to leave. Um I should have let it go way before then. I shouldn't have stayed in that relationship as long as I did, to tell you the truth. But I had to realize, you know, first off, I don't regret it because it taught me a lot of things. Second off, the things that he did were not my fault, but the things that I did, did take responsibility for. I took responsibility for the fact that I shouldn't have stayed as long as I did. I took that responsibility because that was my responsibility, that I should have left way before I did. And that is also true, Roddy Parade. Some of our loved ones may not have the communication skills to be in our lives the way we want them. They may be doing the best they can with the skills they have. Also, note that some of our parents and grandparents, they may not know what love is or how to show it, because they wasn't shown love. There's a possibility they were abused and went through stuff, and they think that's the normal. That's the normal for them, right? And because they're ashamed of getting help, they don't want to change because of that. And they don't think they did anything wrong sometimes. That's another thing that we have to deal with, is that some people don't see their behaviors as doing wrong and hurting others. So we have to set our boundaries and say what we're going to take and what we're not going to take. I will say, Miss Deb, there's no reason that you should have felt any guilt for the cancer situation, because that's something that's out of your control. And there is that a lot of people who never got that love, never got those hugs, and they don't know how to show love. Oh, hey, Miss Sonia, I've been missing you so much. I just want to tell you I love you. I've been missing you. Okay. Um, but some of us, some of our parents or grandparents or things like that, they were abused, so they think that's the norm. That's the way you're supposed to show love, right? And that's not how love is supposed to be shown. Also, I see this as a thing recurring in parents. They don't know to take when responsibility when they've done wrong. Like, let's say you said your child lied about something, but the child didn't actually lie, and you find out the truth that the child was actually telling the truth. Instead of the parent going in there and saying, I am sorry, and taking responsibility for their part, most of the times they don't, right? Hold on just a minute, y'all. But sorry about that, y'all. So what I was talking about is like when it comes to, boundaries and healthy boundaries, we should all have those. Even with normal even with people that are who are not abusive in our lives, we should have those for everybody, right? You should know what your boundaries are. You should know what your hard yeses are, your hard no's, what you're going to deal with, and what you're not going to deal with in life, right? You should know what you want, um, and all these things, because how we have to teach others how to treat us sometimes. Sorry about that, y'all, though, but sometimes that happens, family things. Um, but we have to do that. And I am so proud of all those um who do those things, who take that time. Yeah, your do's and your don'ts list, the things that you will put up with, the things that you want. um and you have to know, like, I will not put up with someone talking to me this way. Like, if you've heard me on other platforms, right, I don't like the R word, so I ask it not to be said on my platform. But I can't tell other people not to use that language somewhere else. I just ask them to respect me, you know, and all that stuff. Other people do use that language, and they don't use it necessarily towards people who have disabilities, right? I just prefer not to use that word. Just like I will not go after anybody's children or their family offline, even though I know some things. I choose not to be that person. I choose not to do those things. Those are my boundaries. You know what I'm saying? Um, you feel the same way about the Lord's name in vain. I do too, Miss Shell. I don't take the Lord's name in vain, right? You've never heard me say that word. I will not say that word. That is my thing, that I choose not to do that. And if you're in my house, I expect you to just, go by my rules. But if I'm in your house, I can't say what the rules of your house are, right? I can't tell you how to act in your own house. Um, I can't tell you how to do certain things in the way you do. Like, they always in the beef sector they always say you can't tell nobody else how to fight. Just because I don't do it don't mean somebody else is going to do it, right? And I can't tell other people how to do things. If they choose to do those things, that's on them. I choose not to do those things, right? I choose not to dox and harass and go offline with people. That's my choice in life. I can't tell anybody else not to do it. It's their choice. Um, you know, um, that's true. That's true, CFM Queen. Also, if you're in a relationship, open communication is your biggest thing. Communicating about everything, good, bad, and indifferent. Like, let's say you have a disagreement, being able to calm down, go your separate ways for a little while, calm yourselves down, and then come back and have a healthy conversation about it. Figure out what went wrong, how to fix the situation in the future so it doesn't happen. Open communication is a huge thing. Most things that end relationships, whether it be friendships or more specifically when you're in a relationship with someone, is no communication. Communication is key to everything. And sometimes we do miscommunicate. If we're angry, we do miscommunicate our words sometimes, and they don't come out necessarily by what we mean. I have a habit of doing that sometimes, and I have to catch myself. um I will say things in a way that's not what I actually meant, if that makes sense. Because and some things are misunderstood. Like, I meant it one way, but somebody else perceived it in another, and that's not necessarily what I meant, right? Or what I mean. And sometimes we do have to break it down and go into more of well, this is what I actually meant, and I'm sorry if I worded it wrong. This is not what I actually meant. You know. I will say this, Scott, Miss Deb, I'm the same way. I wish a motherfucker would. I'll be going to jail or hell for my child. I will smile in my mugshot. Um, don't mess with him. That's one thing you don't mess with. Like, you can talk about me all day long. You can make fun of me all day long. You can tell all kind of lies about me all day long, but don't mess with him. That's the one thing you don't do, because I will straight up go to hell or jail and smile in my mugshot. Sometimes when we, um, open communication is the thing. Sometimes we try to say things and it comes out wrong. So we have to realize when we do those things to try to explain ourselves, in a better light. Because sometimes, especially, have you ever had like a conversation with someone over text and you were sitting there texting something and it totally was like, I'm so sorry. I just, like, if somebody thinks somebody else is upset in text when they're not, you can misread things, or your mind can say it's one way when it's another. Just like, I will say this, on the internet, right? If they don't say your name, sometimes they're not talking about you. So if it's, the way that I look at it is, if it don't apply, let it fly. There have been times people were talking shit about me and I didn't know it, because here's the thing, I didn't read into it. You know what I'm saying? And when there's nothing that could be resolved, you need to just walk away. That is sometimes, Michelle, the best thing. Like, if you can't, if you know you both are not on the, like, let's say with the situation, two people are fighting and they both don't want to come to a compromise and or feel things went too far. Sometimes there's no reason to try to work that out. There's no common ground that you can come to, so you just have to walk away. And sometimes it's best to do that for your own mental health. Sometimes walking away is the best thing. And with a lot of narcissists, I've seen this. They think they win. They think that they've conquered you. They've won. All these other things. Um, no, you're just doing what's best for you. You're doing what's best for your mental health. You're doing what's best for your life. Let them think they won. Let them have that, because really, what did they win? Right? Sometimes you have to let the people think that they've gotten one over on you, because that's what they think. It's not worth fighting over sometimes. Sometimes it's worth just letting it go, because some people aren't worth your time. And I will tell you something about assumptions. One of the reasons why I try not to assume is because assumptions are like assholes. Sometimes when you assume something, you actually become the asshole because you assume something that wasn't correct, right? So a lot of times I don't try to assume. If you don't tell me point blank period, I'm not assuming shit, right? That's what I'm saying, Sylvan. Just ask, assuming, and I sometimes, I don't pay attention when people are just straight up being evil, awful people, and I don't watch everything. Like, I don't go watch people who are talking crap or mess or doing bullshit and evil shit. I'm not going to go watch them. Why? Because I don't need to. They're not worth my time. I'm not giving them that satisfaction. You know what I'm saying? And if I don't know about it, how can it bother me? Right? If I'm not paying attention to it, if you don't watch it, it's not going to bother you. So a lot of things I don't see because I don't go around looking to see, because I'm like, "Oh, well, bye, holla." I'll go turn on something else. There's way too much to watch and do that I don't need to do that, because that just leads you to a point of, you're going to, set yourself up for hurt feelings. You're going to set yourself up for bullshit. And sometimes letting go of drama is a good thing, because it's for your own self. It's not for the other person. It's for you, because you don't want to have to deal with that bullshit. So there's a lot of people I just don't go see. Also, I'm the type that if somebody tells me something, I'm going to go, instead of putting like a false narrative out on someone, like I have never put the pedo word on anybody's back and never would, because that's not a word you lay on someone lightly. I want to see black or white situations. I want to see actual paperwork, right? That's not a word that you just put on somebody. That's a thing. That's like no. You get what I'm saying? I want to see it. And if somebody says, let's say somebody makes up all kinds of lies and bullshit about someone, right? I want to hear it for myself. Somebody comes in and tells me this. Well, I'm going to go see what the actual person actually is saying instead of listening to false narratives. Because do you know how many false narratives have he said about me? And I'm like, that's if you had only listened and came into the show and actually paid attention, you would have known that was a falsity. A lot of people going around lying, you know what I'm saying, to make themselves grandioso, to, um, you know, they always say it's like that thing when we were in school. Do y'all remember when the teacher used to tell you a story and then it went down the line, and by the time it got to the last person, the story had changed exponentially? It had changed into some crazy shit, right? That happens even on here if you think about it, right? One person actually watches a show but then puts their own spin on it. And then the other person believes it without going to watch. I'm going to go watch and see what happens. And I view the source too. That's right. View the source. That's true, Michelle. I ain't trying to win shit over. I will defend myself, um, and not let false rumors be spread about me. But that's as far as it'll go. Yeah, no. And even to some extent, I won't even defend myself. I'll just let you say what you're going to say. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? There is some things that I do not want falsified about me, other things I don't care. So it also depends on what you want to defend and what you don't want to defend, because some of it's not even worth the explanation. You know, that's true, Michelle. I've told a lot of people, like, if you have a channel and you got something to say it. You know what I'm saying? Say it on your own channel. Don't. They're not. A lot of people are not even worth fighting for. A lot of things you're just, say what you got to say, get it off your chest, and then be done with it. Because some people want that back and forth, right? And some people don't, um, depending on who you are. And sometimes it's not even worth it. I do love the timestamps and the clips, so you don't have to watch a whole situation. Like sometimes that's BS. I want the timestamps and the clips. That's the most amazing thing. Sometimes I will say that, CFM Queen. I want it to a T, exactly everything. You know what I'm saying? And you know, that sometimes that's the best course of action. I will also say that me, myself, and when I hear people start talking shit to others and downing them when they're just having a regular conversation, like sitting there just because you don't, like, let's say I'm just going to use you, CFM Queen, for an example. Let's say you said something that I don't necessarily agree with, right? I'm not going to then call you all kind of names, disparaging words, and talk shit to you, because we can agree to disagree. We're adults. A lot of people, though, when somebody says something they don't agree with, they like to talk shit. They like to call people names and talk down to them. And sometimes they're reading the situation wrong, right? And that's like another thing that I see is like, I saw like this one person was sitting there putting down people in their chat. I was like, well, nobody's gonna stick around you if you continue to do that. Because who wants to be talked to like they're a POS, or like they're a, you know, they could be thrown away at any moment? Who wants to be talked to like they're nothing? Nobody wants to be talked to that way. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't. You make sure you get your coffee, Scotch Deborah. I'll see you in a second, girl. Um, you know, if in case you absolutely are disparaging your audience or cussing them out for no reason, just because you have a like, let's say we have a disagreement, I would never sit there and trash someone. That's bullshit. And I will not be treated like that. And then you think I'm going to be just sitting there like, ooh, you can abuse me. No, I have my boundaries and I've set them. And I refuse to let someone walk all over me. I did that one time in my life with my ex, and I will never do that again. No one will ever speak to me that way. If they speak to me that way, we gonna have a disagreement. We either gonna talk that shit out, or I'm done with you. And if we were never friends to begin with, never close in any way, I just ain't gonna go back there. I ain't gonna be disparaged or talked to like I'm shit. Oh hell no. Life's too short for that bullshit, and I can go somewhere else where I'm appreciated, not tolerated. You know what I'm saying? Nope. Not doing it. Now, I will say I am friends with a lot of people who don't like each other, but there's a way that you do that also, right? If you're friends with two people or three people and they don't like each other, the best thing that you can do is just stay out of it. When they disparage each other, stay out of it, right? When they talk shit on each other, stay out of it because it's between those two people, right? Um, and you, because you like both people or all that stuff, you're not going to choose a side because you love both of them, right? And there's some people that I will not choose a side with. I love both of them, and I'm not going to insert myself into their shit. I'm not going to do it, right? Because I love both of them. I'm just not going to do it. So you'll see me in the chat saying, "Hey," but you won't see me insert myself in the situation because it's not to do with me, right? It has technically nothing to do with me. And I'm not going to get in their beef because here's the thing. If they make up tomorrow or the next day, guess who looks like the jackass? Me. I'm not going to do that to myself. I've seen this happen 1,001 times within the beef sector. People be fighting for a couple months and then they be cool again. And so because I stay neutral, I'm straight. But the people who chose sides or got cussing each other out, there's a problem there now, right? Especially if you care about both. Now, if you don't care about the person, just say F that person, right? But if you care about both people, your best bet is to stay out of it because they can make up, right? And hopefully they will. That's your hope if you like both people. That is true, Michelle. If you're doing what you say you're against, I get that. And when you see people get mistreated, you take note. Yeah, I don't like when people mistreat others. It's not cool. It's not cool to disparage others and to treat them like they're less than. That's not cool. Now, I will say, depending, it also does, I think every situation, CFM Queen, does depend on, every situation is, like, this situation is going to be different. Situation A and situation B, there's two situations going on here, right? And they can be different, right? Situation A and situation B can be different. Now, in certain situations, if you see one friend just downing the other friend and talking all kind of mess and making up thousands of lies, you can choose to stand up for that friend, right? Which is different. But if you know two people are fighting and they're just being petty with each other at that moment, right? It's different to stay out of it, right? They're just being petty for no reason. Just let them be petty, right? But if you know, like, they're sitting there putting like really bad things on your friend's back, like saying your friend is a pedo or saying your friend, and you know it's false, that's different. There are different situations where in some instances you should stand up and say something, in other instances you should stay out of it. It does, each instance is different. And it depends on the situation, right? Like situation A may be that the two people are fighting, but it's not, they're not literally doing evil stuff to each other, right? They just had a falling out. You can remain neutral in that situation, right? But let's say this other situation is different. And in this situation, you were closer friends with friend A than friend B. And friend B is saying like really terrible shit about friend A that you know is not true. Then you got to do what you got to do, right? So each instance is different. Also, it does depend on where your loyalty lies and who you're closer to sometimes. Because sometimes, let's say, I'm gonna, just because y'all are in chat, Miss CFM Queen and Miss Shell. And let's say me and Miss Shell have been friends for 10 years and I just met CFM Queen, right? Who do you think I'm gonna be more agreeable to? You know what I'm saying? That just, every instance is different and you have to take it, like you have to take it for each individual one, right? I try to stay out of the arguments because I care about a lot of people involved, right? And when I care about people, I really truly do care about them. And I don't want to add to the situation. I don't want to make the situation worse. You know what I'm saying? And I know that if it can be worked out, it will. If it can't, I'm staying out of it because I care about both, right? Equally. I care about both people. And sometimes that is the best bet. That is true, Miss Shell. And sometimes some of us are hard headed and have to figure out the hard way and have to get smacked by a tree limb. I'm just saying, some of us do. That is true, CFM Queen. When you know it's an evil person, oh yeah, stand up, say what you gotta say, do what you gotta do. You know what I'm saying? I was accused of inserting myself in a situation because I didn't like the way a person was treating people, right? And just because I don't like that person because of what they've done to others. You know what I'm saying? We have no like personal beef, if that makes sense. Like we've never met each other, never spoke to each other and other things. But sometimes you cannot like what other people do to others. Like the way they talk to people, the way they treat people, it's not okay. You know? I think it comes down to, like I said, situational. Each situation is different. You have to look at the facts of the situation, put the pieces together. And you have to, once you put those situations together, then you can come up with your own mind of what you choose to do. And I think everybody's choices are going to be different just because of different personalities, who we are, and all these other things. Yeah, and sometimes you take a stand based on your own personal feelings, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you take a stand against another person. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't necessarily mean that you chose one person over the other either. I know, right, Michelle? It's all my fault. It's all my fault for standing up for people and giving victims a voice. It's all my fault for trying to help a community and warn the public about an evil person. It's all my fault. It's all my fault for showing their own words against them. It's all my fault. Now, Miss CFM Queen, I know that you use that as a thing, but I'm just gonna say you a little skinny thing, girl. That's true, Michelle. And here's the thing: I don't go bother people. I don't go to their page and make comments. I don't go to their community walls and bother them. I don't go into their community and bother them. I don't take it real life. I don't go bother their family members. I don't go bother their children. I don't go do those things. And anybody who does, like, that's not on the victim when they're victimized. That's on the person who did it because they took it too far. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference. And legally speaking, if you just have words and you do back and forths, that is what it is. But if you start to take things offline, you can be criminally charged. You know what I'm saying? But I was gonna see if this thing, oh yeah, there's cognitive behavioral therapy. Now that is a very good therapy to talk about. I will say with that situation, I just refuse to watch. Once someone shows me who they are, I believe them. And from that day forward, I will refuse to put up with that. You know what I'm saying? I will refuse to be spoken to in that manner. I do not put up with abusive people or people who abuse people verbally, because verbal abuse um, is the same as, if not worse, in my opinion, than physical. Mental and verbal abuse to me is worse. Physical scars go away, but mental ones do not. And I'm a little bit, Michelle. Um, my ADHD's working its magic this morning. I took my medicine, but my ADHD's a little wee. Blaze is okay racing. For all those who need to know, just Blaze is okay. She did do a live. She ended up deleting it, but she did do a live not long ago. And also have spoken. Someone else has spoken to her behind the scenes. She's just taking a mental health break. That's all. She's fine. She's taking a mental health break because she didn't want to take it to hell or jail. So she's taking her a little breaky break to calm herself down. But she's taking her own little mental health break. You know what I'm saying? And she's chilling and doing her gardening. She is doing just fine. For all those wanted to know how Just Blaze is doing. I know that a lot of people have been worried about her. But no, she's doing it for her own mental health right now. She's taking her little breaky break. Hey, Miss Rose. How you doing this morning? So, yeah, that is very true, CFM Queen. I would rather, I'm gonna say this, my abuser only tried to get physical with me twice. And I think it was because he was afraid I was gonna knock his damn teeth out. But um, he did try to get physical. But most of it was mental. And I would say that in some ways I would rather have to deal with that. Um, have a good day, Michelle. Give him huggies. Be safe out there. I would rather deal with that than having to deal with mental. Mental to me is worse. It leaves worse scars that you have to work through for the rest of your life. Which physical can also, they kind of go hand in hand if you really think about it. Because once you get the physical, the mental's already there, and it usually goes together. It's usually not one or the other, it's usually both. But the mental scars take longer to heal than the physical scars. You know what I'm saying? The mentality of it all does take longer to heal from. Having to deal with a physically abusive person, mentally abusive person is very crazy. And I do feel sorry for those who have to deal with that type of person. The person that, likes to abuse people and talk to them in disparaging manners and make them feel less than so that they can feel better about themselves. Even in friendships or people, there are people who do that because they have such low self-esteem and just about themselves in general, that that's the only way that they can feel better about themselves is to try to disparage others, and it ends up showing in their character, and eventually it will lead everyone away from said person because of, like, eventually people get tired of being treated that way. Eventually people get tired of being talked to that way. So eventually people will, walk away from a person that is like that. But sometimes it does take time. And sometimes people don't see it right away because they don't recognize the red flags. Right. And it takes them a little bit more time sometimes to get smacked upside the head. Oh, that's a huggy, CFM Queen. I'm glad you got your king in your life. I am so happy about that. What's sad about that situation is when you have those kind of nightmares, um, you know, there is the only way you can't really get rid of those. You can just help make them less and less through therapy, but there is no night terrors is a thing that there's no cure for it, you know? But you can try to work past the situation, um, and that's the only way to try to make better. Night terrors are really a terrible thing. Yeah, that's true, Sif and Queen. Being locked in your own mind with your abuser is one of the worst things, and feeling like you're trapped in that situation. Because, like I said, with those things, you can try to make them better with talk therapy and different things, but it's basically like reliving your abuse over and over again, right? And not feeling like you can't wake up or can't get out. It's almost like you're in the horror movie, like you're in Nightmare Before Elm Street, and the person's Freddy Krueger, and you can't get out the dream. You know what I'm saying? You're like the person who's saying, "Wake up, wake up, wake up." You know what I'm saying? Like that's the way if I could explain night terrors to anyone. For people who go through that, it's kind of like Nightmare Before Elm Street, where the people are trying to pinch themselves awake, but they're still in it and they can't get out of the dream. And that's the way it feels for a person that goes through that. And the dreams are so realistic, that a person that goes through that wakes up in fear, sweat pouring, as if they were in that, like it was really happening to them. Like, even though it was a dream, it's like when they wake up in real life, it feels like it's still going on, if that makes sense. So they're doing all the things that a person would do, if it was happening in real life, right? Um, and that's what I would say that a person with night terrors feels like. They're stuck in Nightmare Before Elm Street and can't get out. There are some medications, you're right on that, CFM Queen, but the problem with night terrors is the best way to help with night terrors is to get a dream journal and write down exactly what's happening with that you can remember as soon as you wake up, because sometimes sometimes you'll remember everything and sometimes it won't be as easy. Write down every single thing, right? And as you write down in your dream journal, then you sit there and you start to look at what trauma response caused that dream. What what haven't I worked on in that situation? And sometimes what you can do, CFM Queen, I'm just going to give you a little advice, is when you do your dream journal, when these things happen, And you're very smart, right? I know this because you know a lot of shit. Um, when you write down those dream journals, look at the pattern of each one of those dreams and what the trigger is. Like, what, like, let's say the same thing keeps happening over and over again in the dream. Whether it be essay, whether it be physical, whether you be in a corner, hunker down, and who each person was in the dream, right? It's a situation that specifically that happened in your past. It's kind of like PTSD, right? There's a situation that happened in your past that is bothering you worse than the rest, right? And if you can figure out that situation specifically, which one it is, which memory it is, there's possibilities that, like, uh, you know, figuring out why that situation keeps replaying to you. Is there something that you may, blame yourself about? Is there something that you haven't moved on from that section of life from? You might be able to actually help yourself move through that, and make that specific instance less, and so on and so forth, right? Um, because there is a specific thing that's bothering you about that situation. Maybe you haven't forgiven yourself. Maybe, and that's why your consciousness keeps bringing it up, right? Because there's something about that situation that you haven't worked through, if that makes sense. I understand that's the hardest part about it is the CPSD, is rewriting it and journaling is the hardest part. Um, a lot of times I tell people when they do their journaling to write down your traumas, and it's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. Then after you write down your trauma, I want you to write a letter to yourself and what you would have said to the younger you, right? What you would tell the younger you, how you would apologize, or do these things, like what the younger you, if they had known what they know today, you know what I'm saying, what would the younger, apologize to your younger self, love your younger self, explain it to your younger self, forgive your younger self, because a lot of people are still holding on to that too, and not getting the justice can be a thing, CFM queen, not getting the justice that you deserved, not being able to save yourself, not being able to forgive yourself, because a lot of people do put that blame on themselves, that maybe if they had did this or did that, they could have made it better. Yeah, and that's another thing, CFM queen, guilt and regret for this situation. You know what I'm saying? And you have to be able to forgive yourself. That's why you keep reliving it, right? Is because there's things that you have not admitted to yourself about that situation that you're still holding on to, right? You're still holding on to it and you're not letting it go. That's why it keeps terrorizing you, right? You've got to be able to let that guilt go. No matter what you could have done, there is no possible way that you could have changed that situation, right? There's no way that you could have stopped that from happening. There's no way that you could have, you may think you could have, but it wasn't. And you've got to let go of that anger, that guilt, that hurt, that blaming yourself. Because when you're guilt, you blame the shit out of yourself. If I had did this, if I had did that, if, right? And that's one of the reasons why a lot of night terrors, when you remember the situations, if you break it down, that's why you keep reliving it, because you're thinking if you had did this or you had did that, you could have changed it, right? And the feelings that you're feeling from it, you have to go through them to get through them. And if I were you, I would write a letter. Take your journal out and write a letter to younger you. Say all the things that you never got to say. Here's another thing. This is how you get justice, CFM queen. Say all the things that you've ever wanted to say to that person. Scream if you have to, right? All the hurt, I want you to pour it out on a piece of paper, that if you could say it to this person, to their face, what they did to you, what they did to others, how it made you feel. That is some of the best things that you can do for your own mental health, CFM Queen, is journaling and writing down what you would say to them if you could say it. And another thing, I know you don't ever want to, but forgive them. Forgive them not for them, but for yourself. Forgive them for all their transgressions. Yeah, you know what burn letters are. You know what I'm talking about. You got to release. You got to release all those feelings. You know exactly what burn letters are. Scream it out loud if you have to. Go out in the middle of the woods and scream and say everything. Look at a tree and put their face on it and tell that tree everything that you would have ever said to them. Get a punching bag, right? And say to that punching bag everything you would have ever said to them, and hit that punching bag until you feel better. I mean, don't stop punching it. Keep punching it till you run out of injury and you feel better. Um, release that pain, because one of the reasons why that you probably don't know that you're still having these night terrors is because not only do you blame yourself, but you've also not fully let go. You've not let go. And the pain is still there. The hurt is still there. You've still yet to forgive and move forward, um, because you're still in pain from it. And that's going to be a hard one for you to get over. It really is, because you lost someone that you can never get back. You know what I'm saying? And you've not fully went through all the stages of grief yet, if that makes sense. You're still in a cycle of the first two, right? You've not fully went to acceptance yet. You keep circling in a circle about it, right? And I will say that in my personal opinion, I think if you were to do some of that, it's going to be a lot of pain. That's not something that's easy to get over. You lost someone that you truly love. I have done that, Scottish Deb. Thank you. Oh my God. That's a new flavor. They got a new chip, y'all, called fried green tomato. No, do not apologize, CFM Queen, for being emotional. Do not, do not apologize for being emotional. That's one of the things you need to do, CFM Queen. Baby love, you need to let that out, because it's still hurting you. It's still taking over you. You get what I'm saying? You're not upsetting anybody. You're not upsetting about that, baby. Sharing is healing, and you're doing what is best for you right now. Sometimes you need to say it out loud to others, that somebody hurt me, that somebody took away my twin sister, somebody took her life. You know what I'm saying? Emotions are good, baby. Don't you ever apologize about feeling your emotions. That's what this is for. It's for you to let it out and to know that you're okay and you're in a safe space. You're in a safe space right now. You can let it go. You can let your heart feel the emotions that you need to feel. And I'm going to say that, CFM Queen. Sometimes heavy is the heart that bears the burden. You're trying to be so strong for everybody else. Sometimes you don't take care of you, baby girl. And you got to do that. You got to let that pain go, baby. You got to understand that your twin sister, you're living for her right now. She can't be here with us, but you're here with us, right? And she would want you to feel okay. She wouldn't want you to be in torment because she loves the ground you walk on, just like you love the ground she walked on. And y'all both were through a bad situation that wasn't neither one of y'all's faults. None of y'all didn't do wrong. Y'all did nothing wrong. And baby, I'm going to tell you something. There ain't nothing that you could have done, sweet angel, to save her, even if you wanted to with all your heart. No matter how much love, it was her choice in the end, right? But what you can do is never let go of your love for her. Something they can't take from you is your memories of her and the good times you had together, right? They can't take that from you, sweetheart. They'll never be able to take that, right? And sometimes you just need to let it out because you're so strong for everybody else that you hold on to this pain so hard because you don't want to burden nobody else, right? You don't want to burden nobody else. Am I wrong? That sometimes it's best for you to let it out, let it go, right? You're not a burden to nobody here, and you're not a burden to me. I want you to know that you're not a burden, sweetheart, and you never will be. You're not a burden to your family. You're not a burden to your husband. You're not. And I'm going to tell you something, sweet angel. You got to make sure that with this situation, you don't blame yourself and you love yourself and let it out. Let it out. You're holding on to so much, and that's why you're hurting so bad because you're trying to be so strong for everybody else. Sometimes you just got to let yourself fall apart. You got to let yourself fall apart and let yourself feel all those feelings. And it's going to hurt and it's not going to be easy, right? It's never easy. But you didn't do nothing wrong. You are not at fault for this. They are. They're the evil people in this situation. You are an innocent person. And sometimes you got to break it down to build it back up, right? Let it through, let it flow. And if you get angry, punch something. Tell them, say, F you people. You took away my sister. Fuck both of you bitches. I hate you both. I hope you go to hell in a handbasket. I hope you're burning in hell. But I forgive you because guess what? You think you won. You didn't. I rose above and I'm better than you. I did better for my children. I did better for my family. You may think you have won, but you didn't win shit, motherfucker. See, you got to tell them they didn't win. You never let them win. You did better than they ever thought about doing in life. You broke those chains, baby. You broke those chains of abuse, and you didn't do that to your children. You didn't do that to your family. And those pieces of shits can rot in hell. That's what you got to tell them. You won, CFM Queen. You won the battle and you won the war. They may have thought they broke you down, but they didn't. And they didn't win. And every day that you stand up and put your feet on that ground, you won. Every day that you stand up and you walk that walk, you won. Every time you get to look at your children growing up and being the happy, healthy kids that they are, you won. I want you to look around at you and see what you accomplished. Look what you did in life. And look how much better you are than they are. Look at what you did. Look how you broke them chains of abuse and didn't do it to others. And see, here's the thing, CFM Queen. It's because you both went through a very traumatic experience, right? Y'all went through a lot of fucking trauma in that damn household, but you did better and you rose above it. You know what I'm saying? And it's sad that she had to deal with her mental illness. And it's sad that she didn't get to rise above because of those POSs. But you can't blame yourself for that, baby. You didn't cause that. And maybe in her way, in her own way, you know what I'm saying? She didn't know how to deal with it and it fractured her mind, right? But you stood up and when you moved forward from this situation and you cut those people out your life, right? Look what you did. Look how amazing of a parent you are. Look how much of an amazing mama you are. Look at where you've came from and where you're going. And it's because you loved her. And here's the thing, you should have no regrets. You gave her all the love that could be possible. There is nothing that you got to realize, there's nothing you could have done. You could not save her, baby. You tried. And that's all you can do. Baby, you tried to help her. You got to look at it as you have no regrets because you did everything you could possibly do as a human. It was up to her in the end. And I know I'm going to say this, but in some ways, I know that you're hurt that she chose to leave this world and leave you alone. That she chose to turn to those drugs and she left you here by yourself. And sometimes you have to say your anger for that. Why did you leave me? Why did you leave me here by myself? Why couldn't you be stronger and help me? What, like I helped you? And sometimes you don't want to admit it because you love them so much, right? You don't want to admit it, but you're angry. You're angry they chose that. You're angry that they're no longer here with us and it could have been prevented. And then, yeah, so you got to think about the anger that you, and it's okay. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be feeling those feelings. Feelings are there for a reason, and it's okay. You need to not only forgive yourself for, like, you tried to the very best of your ability to help as much as you could. There's nothing you could have done to change that situation. You think, oh, I could have saw the red flags. Oh, I should have saw this. Oh, I should have done that. No, baby. She chose that. You didn't choose that for her, right? If you could have waved a magic wand, she would have been just fine. But you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? And she didn't trust anybody enough to get help. That's true. And you should be angry. You should be upset. And you should be able to be okay feeling those feelings. It's okay to feel that way. Don't make yourself feel bad because you feel that way. That's okay to feel angry that she left you. Don't feel guilt because you feel that way. A lot of times we feel guilty when we feel that because we know the trauma they had to go through also, right? But you should not feel guilty for feeling angry at her. And you did such a good job not repeating the cycle and trying to help and trying to do better. Do not blame yourself. You did better. You rose above it. Look at I want you to look around. Feel that feeling of anger. Let yourself, I think, Miss CFM Queen, have you ever written a letter to your twin sister on how what she did made you feel? How it hurt you? How it made you angry? And then I want you to write a letter to yourself and apologize to yourself for feeling like you're at blame for it, for saying it's not okay to feel that way. You know what I'm saying? For making yourself feel guilty and at blame for that, and for feeling guilty for having your feelings. You have every right to be angry at her. You need to let out your hurt side, CFM Queen. The fact of how it hurt you, what she did. You love her, but it hurt, and you're angry, and you're questioning why she left you and why she chose to do these things. And it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be angry at somebody that you don't understand why they did what they did. Right? You don't understand why they left you. Why did you leave me here alone? It's okay to have that anger. And it's okay to say the things that you're thinking because they're feelings, baby. And it's okay. It doesn't disparage her memory, and it doesn't disparage the love that you have for her. It doesn't disparage her and doesn't mean you love her any less. You've got to let out that hurt you have and that anger towards her that you have. You know, I know this is going to be very painful for you to even admit, to even talk about, because you don't want to talk bad about her because you love her so much. She's your other half, she's your twin, right? But you have to let that go. You have to tell her, even if she's not here physically, what it meant to you and how it made you feel, and let that anger really go, and cuss her if you have to. Cuss her out. You know what you would say to her if she was still here. If you were able to have a second chance to tell her how that made you feel, you know what you would say to her. And you need to write that down in a journal, in a letter. You need to write a burn letter for that too, baby. Because and don't feel bad about it. That's a thing that a lot of people do because they love somebody so much and they understand the trauma that person went through too. They don't want to tell their true feelings to that person or how much it hurt them because they feel like they'll be talking down on them. They feel like they'll feel bad because it isn't right. No, baby, it is right. All that feeling you're feeling and all those thoughts you're having, those are true feelings and need to be let go and need to be let known. Even if you couldn't say them to her in life, everything you feel, good, bad, and indifferent, because guess what? That's what your twin would want you to do. She'd want you to be able to let those feelings go and to be able to punch a bag and say, why did you leave me? Why did you do this to me? I loved you so much. And see, that's the thing I understand, because y'all were each other's protections. Sometimes we've got to say the truth, even if it hurts. The truth hurts sometimes, right? The truth hurts. And that's your truth, baby. That's your feelings. And you got to make sure you tell them. The thing is, you may not ever understand why, and you may not know, you thought she was getting better. Baby, there's no red flags you would have saw. There's nothing you could have done. And there's no way that you could have changed this outcome. It was meant to happen for a reason. Even if it's a reason you don't understand. She chose the reasons that she chose for her own personal reasoning. And I know you're used to being her protection and her protector. But you gotta be, at this point, let her know how you feel. Let her know. In that writing. Is it gonna hurt her, CFM Queen? No. Is it going to disparage her? No. Is it going to stop your love for her? No. You will always love her. So who is it really hurting but making you feel guilty, right? Or making you feel bad because you're actually telling your true feelings? Once you let those feelings go, then you can apologize to yourself and feel better about the situation, because there's a lot of pain left from that. There's a lot of pain in that, right? And you have to be able to be okay with all the feelings you felt, because sometimes we have to let our feelings go through, right? We have to feel them to get through them. I know you constantly try to save her, but baby, ain't nothing you could have did. Ain't nothing you could have did. Just know that you tried to do the very best that you could. You gave her all the love that you could possibly give. You were both through a bad situation. She tried to do the love on you the most. You tried to love on her, and there was just so much there, right? And she went through so much. She just tried to do the best that she could with the hand she was dealt, just like you did the best that you could do with the hand you were dealt. And you rose above, and look how better you are for it. Look how stronger you are. Look how many people's lives you touch without even knowing it. That is true, Scottish Deborah. There's only so much help you can give. After a certain point, it's on them. You can't take responsibility for that, CFM Queen. You cannot take responsibility for her actions, sweetheart. That was hers. She chose that, not you. I know that if you could have saved her and did everything you could, you would, but it was not it was not your option to do so, it was hers, right? And it's okay to be angry at her. It's okay to be hurt. You know what I'm saying? Don't feel bad about feeling those feelings because it's okay. You feel angry because she left you here in this world by yourself. She's supposed to be your other half, the other part of your soul. And it felt like when she died, a part of your soul died with her, right? And it's okay to be angry at her. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be like, I just want to do, why did you leave me, you know? And see, I'm going to say this, CFM Queen, if you hadn't have been what you've been through, you wouldn't have been here to help others. So I want you to always stand strong and keep your head up, right? And that's what makes you such a good person. That's what leads you. I want you to look at what you've done in your life and how much love you've given to others. How many people you don't even realize you've helped, CFM Queen? And even though your sister had been through so much, like Michelle said, she helped so many other people. You're here to tell her story. You're here to help others see that, you know, life is not perfect and life is awful. But even through your struggles and through your pain, you can help other people and to also help yourself. Her story is also a precautionary tale. Don't forget to take care of yourself, right? I want you, CFM Queen, to stand tall and stand smiling, amazing. I think you're one hell of a woman. You raised beautiful children, have an amazing husband. I want you to look at all the accomplishments that you've done through your life and how much you have broken those chains and did so much better. And you're raising adults or have raised adults who, because of you, have so much love in their heart. And they're so much better for it because of you being in their life. It is a big, bad world out there. And so many people's story, and I'm going to say this, CFM Queen, I believe that your story is super powerful. I believe that you should write a book. I believe that you should let your story out there, and there's a reason why. I believe your story could help so many other people. And that, Michelle, you're right. She's a wonderful friend and good person in general with an amazing heart. And see, you rose above those evil people and didn't become like them. You chose to be better. You chose to care about others. You chose to have a heart. You chose not to be an abuser. You broke those chains, baby. Keep smiling because you know you did it. And they will never win. Their abuse didn't work. They didn't beat you down. They think they won, but you rose above that shit. You broke those chains that they were trying to hold you down with. And look at that is true. That is true, Roddy. Look at all the amazing things that people decide to do and to continue to do. So that's what I'm saying. Think about you could have wound up just like those people, right? But you didn't. You chose to be better. You're humble. You don't brag about it. You're kind. You try to help as many other people as you possibly can. You know what I'm saying? If you can help somebody and all these things, you're sitting there brave enough to share your story, to help others and try to make other people's lives better because you are nothing like them and you didn't turn out like them at all. Think about it. You could have been just like them. You could have been and you chose to rise above and be better. That is something you should pat yourself on the back for. Anybody who has broken those chains, whether you were in an abusive relationship, abusive household, and you chose to be better and not like those people, you should tap yourself on the back and say, you know what? I'm proud of myself. And CFM Queen, I'm proud of you. And I'm proud that you, if I was, I would be proud to have a daughter like you. I would be proud if my child turned out like you. If nobody has told you any of y'all this today, I'm proud of y'all for standing strong, keeping the smiles on your face, no matter what tragedy or tragic things that you've been through your life. I'm proud of you for keep going every single day of your life and to keep fighting no matter what happens. I also want you to know that if nobody else told you to this day, you are very important to this world, whether you know it or not, because each one of you have broken the chains and gotten better and did things and made it through some of the most terrible things. You're helping so many other people and don't even know it. Just you being here, just you keep fighting, you're giving somebody else hope and you don't even know it. And I'm grateful for one thing that one POS did. He led me to some amazing people. If I could say one awful person did one good thing, it would be leading me to an amazing set of human beings that have great hearts, that just want to help others. And I'm glad that that happened because it happened for a reason. That's right, Miss Deborah. Everything always happens for a reason. Even if it's the most awful thing we've ever been through, even if, that's why I don't have any regrets, because if I hadn't have done the things I did through my life, I wouldn't be where I am today and be the person that I am today, right? I wouldn't know how to love others and treat others if I hadn't have been through some of the things I've been through. So what we can all do and know is that no matter what we've been through and what we're going through, even at this moment, we got to keep fighting, keep going, because it always does get better. Even at your lowest moment, I want y'all to think about that. At your lowest moment in life, when you thought nothing would ever get better and nothing would ever be the same, look where you're at 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road. You wouldn't have had those things if you had given up. And how many people out there right now, if you're in my replay gang or you're in the bushes, don't give up, baby. I promise you. I promise you that it does get better. Because when you're at your lowest, the only way up is up. There is no more down. When you're at your very lowest moment in life, there's only up. You can only go up from there. I want y'all to always know there's hope, there's love, there's somebody out there that's going to love you for you no matter what, good, bad, and indifferent. And it may seem like it's a hopeless situation, but it's never hopeless. And that is true, Sia. That is true, Roddy. You know, the ones that we miss here on earth that have left this world, some of the best people we know, one day we will see them again. We know this, right? We know this. We will see them again. We will be reunited. Life is here for some for a moment and some for a little bit longer. But we know that eventually we will see them again. And we also know when we lose those we love, we have the best guardian angels in heaven. CCFM Queen, she didn't, her body may have left this world, but her soul is with you, right? She's watching over you every day of your life. She's with you. She didn't leave. Her body did. And something that they can never take from us. The bodies may, their bodies may not be here anymore. There's something that death can't take from us. And you know what that is? some of our happy memories with them, doing stupid shit with them, smiling and watching a TV show with them. The simplest of things. I promise you, even in our worst moments, we are always stronger than what we think. And that's what we all should hold on to, is that, all these bad things happened, and sometimes it leaves us with scars. It leaves us with scars that don't want to heal, right? But we know we're strong because we made it through that. CFM Queen, you're an extremely strong woman to make it through the things you've made it through. Miss Deborah, you're a strong woman for making it through the things that you've made it through. Miss Shell, Miss Roddy, everybody else in listening here, I want you to think about it. You're a strong ass individual to go through what you've been through, and you're still standing. No, I do understand, CFM Queen. I've heard that from a lot of twins. Um, because y'all have a soul tie that is different than, let's say, siblings. It's a soul tie, right? And it's like part of yourself died the day they died. It's a soul tie. And it's like part of you is no longer here, and you feel empty sometimes without that person. Um, you know, that can also go for soulmates or friends that were your soulmate friends. Some of us have those, right? And it's like part of you died the day they died. There's an emptiness that never can be filled. But remember one thing, no matter if the body is gone, they're still out there. They're still watching over you from heaven. You have the best guardian angel that anybody could ever ask for. Also, CFM Queen, did you ever think about possibly writing that book and then becoming a public speaker to help others? Because I believe that your story is very powerful, and some of the things that you've been through are very powerful. I would absolutely love to hear um you do videos about, the things you've been through, or read your book. Like, I would totally buy it. Just saying. Because seeing where you came from to where you are and the things you've been through might help somebody else in the long run. I'm going to tell you something, CFM Queen. If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be here today. If it wasn't for my faith, I don't think I would be here today. I truly don't. He helped me make it through, and I'm going to tell y'all something. If it wasn't for prayer circles, I wouldn't have made it when I was 20 years old. And when I was 13, I wouldn't have been here because I didn't tell a living soul, and I already had everything planned out. But it was God that saved me. I'm going to tell you that. And he saved me for a reason and keeps me here for a reason. Now, that reason have I yet to figure out. I'm still figuring it out, right? And I think a lot of us are. And CFM Queen, I'm going to tell you something that I feel in my heart. I just got to say it out loud. I think you're kept here for a reason, not only to help those that you've helped in your life, your kids, your family. I also believe that you're here to help others. I do believe that. I believe a lot of what you've been through, the reason you've been through it is to try to help others. Because you have that heart on you. You have that spirit about you. And you don't realize through the years how many of those people you could have saved their lives and didn't even know it just by being you. Now, I will say, CFM Queen, I have heard that same thing about people, not wanting to disparage the living, but sometimes you got to get that truth out there, and sometimes it's going to hurt certain people, but sometimes they need to hear it. And that is true, Scottish Deborah. We only get one life to live. Enjoy it while you can. Make it happy and try to make it the best of your ability to do the best that you can. I think all of us, have been through something or another, and you know, we have to make our life happy. If that means cutting off people, if that means changing trajectories, if that means leaving someone you love behind, sometimes you got to do what's best for you because it's your life. And if it means working on your mental health, if it means dealing with situations that are hard to deal with to be able to be happy, right? To change our mindsets and go through therapy and do all these things. Sometimes we have to do them for ourselves, not for others necessarily. Even writing that book, CFM Queen, it may not be for others, it can be for yourself, right? But in the long run, it will help others. Sometimes writing that book's not for them, it's for you. I will say, CFM Queen, I have heard people doing that, changing the names in the books, and different things, and saying it's loosely based on a true story. A lot of people do that, to protect the living and to keep from getting sued. That's right, Scottish there, but yup. To keep yourself sane, you gotta do you. You do you, boo boo. Okay, I'm sorry. That just came out of nowhere. I don't know why it came out. Sometimes we talk about tough subjects over here, but you know, sometimes it needs to be spoken about. Sometimes it's healing and it helps others. And we don't even know we're doing it. We don't even know it. I don't know why I got to say, but I don't know why. That's what I read was you do you, boo boo. And I heard Kevin Hart's voice in my head. Like, I don't know why, but I heard Kevin Hart saying that. Don't ask. And Mitty Huggies, CFM Queen. I'm gonna tell you something. You are a strong woman, and I want you to keep smiling. Also, I'm gonna need some food, Orange, before long, cause we know I love looking at your food. And you're gonna have to cook and do some shorts, cause you be talking about some good ass food. And I just love food, Orange. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. We all know I love cake and cookies, damn it, and I love fried po chops. I'm just saying. But I will say that I do want to say thank you to everybody who has participated and said their situations and is strong enough to share because sometimes we're scared to share, right? Sometimes we have fear that someone's going to use it against us. I want you to know this is always a safe place, CFM Queen. And I want to thank you for being strong enough to share because sometimes sharing ain't easy. It ain't easy. I do the same thing, Scottish Deborah. I still try to throw in a jokey joke to make people laugh because that's why I be so damn stupid sometimes. And I be saying some crazy off the wall shit because I'm trying to make other people laugh because I'm a dumbass and I admit it. And sometimes I'm a dumb blind and shit goes right over my motherfucking head. I admit it. Sometimes I'm goofy as shit. Like I swear to God, sometimes I'm like a pit bull. You know how certain pit bulls just be goofy as shit? That's me. I just be goofy. And sometimes I wouldn't hurt a fly, but if you pull out my crazy side, then I'll shake it like a pit bull. Urgh. Don't make me do the DMX growl. I will do it. I'll go da 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 da. I shake it like a pit bull. I will. Yeah, with a wee laugh. I swear to God, Scottish Seven, I be trying to do different like accents, and I still sound like I'm country as shit, even when I do other accents. Just with a little wee laugh. And it still sounds country as shit. I can't get the country out. I swear to God. I swear for Jesus, I will cut a hole in the name of Jesus. Okay, sorry. Had that. My crazy side came out for a minute. My little psychosonic side, she ain't right in the head. Y'all, if I tell y'all I leave my crazy side alone and I don't want nobody pissing off, I don't want to piss off that side of me. She stays in a box. That bitch is crazy as hell. That bitch need help. Sometimes we just need a good old hug. There was one time I got to tell y'all something. I was walking through Walmart and there was this young lady and I just saw it on her face and I just felt it from my heart that she needed a hug. Perfect stranger. Didn't know this lady. My name's House Cat. And I went up and I just said, "Baby, I just feel like you need a hug." And when I went up to her and hugged her that day, and I hugged her hard, she just started crying on my shoulder. I didn't know what was going on with her. And that day she told me, she needed that hug. Her husband had just passed away in an accident and she didn't know how to tell her children. You know what I'm saying? He had just passed away. I didn't know that, but I just felt it in my heart that she needed a hug. I just felt it in my heart, y'all. Sometimes if you feel it in your heart, do what you got to do. I just went up and I hugged her. I said, "Baby, is it okay if I hug you? I feel like in my heart that you need a hug." And she said, "Yeah, I could use a hug." And I hugged her up and she told me the story and I about started crying because I didn't know what was going on with her. I just felt it in my heart. I didn't know that, but I'm gonna tell you something. Sometimes some of us we just need a hug, and sometimes it'll be on our heart to say something. And if it's on your heart to say something, say it because it's meant to be said. If you're pushed to say something, or let's say you got something weighing on your heart real heavy, sometimes it's weighing on your heart because you're supposed to say it. You're supposed to feel it, and you're supposed to tell somebody. I'm a Scottish wee lass. Yeah. Technically, I do believe I have Scottish and what's the other one in me? I have quite a few things. You got something to say, Fast Eddie? Now, what you gonna say? What you gonna say? How fast you running today? That's all I want to know. Hell yeah, hell yeah, Fast Eddie. Oh, that was a weight lifted off your chest, wasn't it, Fast Eddie? That felt so good to say it, didn't it? Felt so good. Faster than the slow person. Hell yeah, that's all that matters. If you fastest than the slowest person, it's all that matters in the horror movie. Hey, baby shark. Baby shark do 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 do. Baby shark do 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 do. Baby shark. I have to do that every time Baby Shark come in. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Yeah, in the horror movie, you just want to be the fastest, or the person, if you run it through the mall, you just want to be the fastest. And sometimes you might have to trip a bitch. I'm just saying, if it comes down to the zombie apocalypse, you might have to trip some bitches. Like, there's certain people that deserve it. You know who I'm talking about? So trip those bitches. Trip them up real good. Let them get got. Them evil people in the world, trip those bitches. Let them fall. I have got to pee. And I know this might be oversharing, but like I'm supposed to get off for a minute because I gotta piss like a Russian racehorse. Yeah, trip two or three motherfuckers. Just trip them. Just put the foot out and let them fall. Let them fall. They deserve it. They deserve to trip and fall. Some of them people deserve it. But so I did have an amazing time with y'all today. I want y'all to all know that. And thank you all for being here. And I want to thank everybody that's in the clouds. I want to thank everybody that's the replay watchers. I want to thank everybody for everything. If you support this channel whatsoever, if you get a membership, whatever, if you're just here chilling, I want to thank you. I thank everybody for everything. I appreciate everything. I understand that some people don't have the money to invest in other people's YouTube channels. I get that very much so. You know what I'm saying? Life can be hard sometimes. Sometimes you got to pay for your family. You got to do the things that you got to do in your life. You know what I'm saying? Real life always comes first. I've always said that. And I just want to thank everybody who's ever done anything for this channel. Anything. If you gave a cash app, if you gave a membership, I'm thankful for you hitting the like button, the share button, the being here, the chilling. Like every single thing I am thankful for. I'm thankful for you just being in this chat talking shit with me. Because if it wasn't for y'all being in the chat, what would I be doing? Talking to the four walls? You know what I'm saying? So I just want everybody to know how thankful I am for them and to give you your flowers while you're here. And if you ever have a moment to where you're not able to be here and you got to catch our replay, don't think I be hating. I'm thankful for that too. You took time out of your day just to catch my replay. You know what I'm saying? I want everybody to feel appreciated because you all deserve it. And I want you to all have the best possible day that you can have. And I want you to keep smiling and keep your head up high and keep that crown on your head tilted up high and stick your nose up. And if you gotta trip a bitch when it comes to the zombie apocalypse, make sure you trip a sorry piece of shit. Just saying. Have a beautiful day, beautiful people. Bye.
I'm from the TUPELO. I'm reppin' my hood, so love I'm gon' show from the TUPELO. I'm reppin' my hood to the day that I go from the TUPELO. I'm reppin' my hood, so love I'm gon' show from the TUPELO. I'm ripping my hood to the day that I go.
I'm from the west side, we don't need no introduction, this was the best ride. We all big boy rolling and holding, come take a test drive. Hilldale, Evergreen, Glenkirk, Outer Street, bending every corner on the west, and that's where I'll be. Sunroof back, checking seat banging down 1800, chunking up the deuce to my post slanging down on 1800. Show no love to the ladies that's training around on 1800, making time stand still, crystalline swinging down on 1800. Watching out for them rubberheads that be stanging around on 1800. Big rims and low pros be blanging around on 1800. Better completely change the way you're thinking about around 1800. Really hate to see you boys get left slanking around 1800. Out of street got some history, just let Captain C lay it out. If I don't finish it all on this one, let the second verse play it out. Remember the blue apartments when OG standing back there by 60 deep. Bull walking, saw blue a big Anthony using P.
I'm from the TUPELO. I'm reppin' my